All right, we are backstage here at CrimeCon with Candice DeLong. She is the host of the award-winning podcast, Killer Psyche. She's a former FBI criminal profiler. Your thoughts about CrimeCon, Candice, so far?
I love it. This is my second one, and it's a lot of fun, especially the behind-the-scenes backstage stuff.
Right.
Meeting new people in the world that I've been in for decades.
And I'm sure some of these cases that they talk about here, people that come to talk about them, you've been following them in your work, or at least you've seen them on the news and been thinking, is there still that desire to maybe get involved and see how you can dissect it?
Not so much involved in the investigation. Those days are behind me, but definitely, even if I wasn't involved with CrimeCon or anything, these stories are fascinating. We talk about people that have done things that most people can't even relate to. So I think it's natural to be curious. How did this happen? Why did that individual do that?
Right. Why are so many people fascinated with these cases? And I mean, there's 6,000 people here for all weekend to listen to people like you. What is the draw?
I've been asked that question probably more than anything. And people say to me, especially women, is there something wrong with me? I'm absolutely fascinated with this. And especially for women, because most victims of violent interpersonal crime are women and children. There's something to be learned in every single case. Observing it, it's like, well, I don't want that to happen to me, or like, wow, look what happened to her. I didn't think of that kind of thing. Or if an individual, you learn about these stories, see something in the future, in their own future, that like, remember, well, wait a minute, I know what this is all about. So for me, as a retired law enforcement professional, it's a good thing. And a lot of the podcasts here have to do with learning how to be safe from people that would kind of like to hurt you.
Right. Okay, for people that have never heard of the podcast, tell me what your focus is.
Killer Psyche is, so we get into the mind of the killer. Prior to me becoming an FBI agent, I was a psychiatric nurse for 10 years. And I worked with, that was my first time I worked with anyone that had committed a murder, was when I was a young psychiatric nurse. And so for me, a lot of these crimes, now I'm not talking about somebody robbing a bank and shooting the bank teller, or a convenience store clerk and taking the money. I'm talking about crimes of interpersonal violence. We get into the mind of the killer. Why did they do it? For me, that's the interesting part. We rarely have a story where the motivation for the murder was strictly profit. We do. Female serial killers tend to kill for money, whereas male serial killers are motivated by different reasons. But it's amazing how events in our childhood and family setting, or lack of a good family setting, affect our adulthood. And it can be in a good way, and it can be very unfortunate.
Right.
So that's what we get into, the why. Why did this individual do what they did?
It's a fascinating podcast. Check it out. Candice DeLong, thank you so much for chatting with me. She's here at CrimeCon this year and hopefully many years to come.
Me too.